Hey, this is Lindsay from the Awaken Press. I'm here with Susie Beiler, and we're here with her children's book, The Dragon Who Swallowed the Sun. Look how gorgeous this looks, you guys. This is all of Susie's art. Check out that beautiful dragon. So you can buy this book. This is a beautiful hardcover edition. And we also have the Kindle edition and the paperback version of The Dragon Who Swallowed the Sun. You can visit Susie's website at dragonspeak.com. So that's two S's in the middle, dragonspeak.com. But I'm so happy to have you here today, Susie. Thank you for joining us.
Oh my gosh, Lindsay, thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
I'm really happy to have you and to be talking about your Dragons book. A couple years ago, we launched The Dragon Who Swallowed the Sun. How did this come to you, or do you want to talk a little bit more about what the book is about?
Yeah, so it came to me, I was at the creek sitting on a rock, and this whole book just kind of dropped in. And I felt the energy of it and the importance of it. And so right away I grabbed my phone and I, talked into my phone, talked the book. And then it sat there for a few months. And my friend encouraged me. She was like, "What are you doing? Like, put this in writing." And that's how it started. So I finally wrote it down and then contacted you. And, long story short, here we are with this. This book is really a metaphor for power, how we get our power, how we use our power, the proper use and the misuse of power. And so it's really, I hope that when parents sit with their children and read this and ask them the questions at the end, that they will all get a deeper understanding of what it is to be powerful.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, because the story itself is about a dragon named Ella who swallows the sun. So it's a metaphor for your personal power, like you were talking about, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Now, what about your relationship with the dragons? Like, did they just come to you during that day when you got that download, or?
I'm trying to remember when that relationship started for me more consciously. I think it was probably when I moved to Sedona, and I've been here a little over 9 years, just so people have some context. Uh, but for me, I connect with the dragons in a way that is very high frequency. Like, a lot of people think of dragons as something, as beings that are dark, or malevolent beings. And that's not my experience with the dragons at all. For me, they actually have more of a Christed light frequency. And many years ago, maybe like 6 years ago or something, I actually channeled them for a year and brought through the beings called the blue dragons. And they said they were of 12th dimension. So they're very, very high frequency beings. And they actually, my understanding is that they are creator beings. They were part of creating this planet. We have a rich history of dragons being part of this world, but now we don't see them because, well, for a variety of reasons, but right now we don't see them with our physical eyes. And they are existing in this higher dimensional reality. Because I'm a channel, I'm able to communicate with many beings like that. And so the dragons are, for me, they're my friends, they're guides. Sometimes they act as protectors for me. They're very, I don't know, they're just in my heart, Lindsay. They're very special to me.
Yeah, I remember when we first connected, you had all these messages from the dragons, and when you were showing me your original illustration. So all of these illustrations in the book are created by Susie. So every single one was channeled to you. Is that right?
That's correct. And I have to preface that with, I never considered myself an artist or a painter. This was something that in creating these images, one day I just felt from the depths of my soul, like, start watercoloring dragons. And
Wow.
I'm like, well, I don't know how to watercolor. I don't have that skill. I don't have that expertise. But I followed it, and I got some paints. I went to Ace Hardware. I got some watercolors and some paper, and I just started watercoloring.
Wow.
And if you would ask me to sit down today and say, okay, watercolor something for me, I'd be like, I don't really, it's not really what I do, So the fact that I have all these illustrations in this book, it's still kind of miraculous to me. It's still something I don't fully understand.
I think that's beautiful. Well, I know in my heart that the dragons are really, really happy that you've done this for them, like that you've been the messenger for them in so many ways. Not only for you letting them know or letting people know that they are benevolent beings and they're here to help us, but the message in your book about personal power and how to get that back is from them, but through you. So it's really beautiful. So
thank you. Yeah, and I'll just quickly say, as with any being, there's polarity in the dragon realm as well. There still are some that don't serve the light. But I really want to highlight those that do, because that's what I'm all about.
oh my gosh, that I'm so happy that you said that. I'm so happy you said that. I think that was one of the most important clarifications that you could give. So, right.
Yeah.
Well, at least these ones in the book have that positive message, and will help children and the parents too, like remember that about themselves.
Yeah.
You did mention some of that, but if there was one thing that you would say about the dragon who swallowed the sun, how does this book help children learn that personal power lesson?
This may be a subtle way that I've brought it through, but I really want children and adults to understand that our true power comes from within. It comes from God, it comes from our own soul, and it comes from within us. We are in this culture really kind of indoctrinated to seek outside of ourselves. If you look at social media today, and if you look at influencers online and all these things, it's really all the advertising, it's really all about what can you get from the outside to bring it to you. And in the book, Ella literally swallows the sun because she's drawn to its radiance and its power and the light. Like there's just this magnetization that she feels. And that's a positive thing, that we're drawn to the light. But the light is within us. Each of us is born with a soul that is just pure radiance and light. That's here within us. And if we're trying to magnify our power or our radiance or our light from taking something from outside and trying to make it part of us, it doesn't work. It's not true power. It's not sustainable. And then also what goes with that is we might misuse that power. If we're not in touch with our true power, the power of God within us, the power of our own light and our own souls, then it is very easy to misuse it. Right?
Wow.
So when you read the book, you'll see how the plant life dries up, and it becomes dark and cold, and that's symbolism for what happens when we misuse our power.
Wow. You just gave me shivers all over, like goose pimples. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
I love that, because that really is what the book is about. And you've been able to capture that in such simple language. And I think that's the really mastery, because when we can explain something on a simple level where everyone can understand it, we can take these big concepts like you just explained and put them into a children's book and have the artwork go with it. That is a whole nother level of putting something together. So that's very cool.
Wow, thank you.
Story, right? Look at this beautiful dragon right here.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
Everything gets dark, and Ella's just kind of distraught because she's like, well, what have I done? And she's a little depressed because, everything just gets black and gray and cold and miserable.
Yeah, and the words, right? So I just want to show the readers or the watchers of this video how you're able to explain this concept, this huge lesson in this beautiful, simple text here, which is very poetic, easy to read. So it's a nice bedtime story as well. Um, and and the narrative itself, when you explained how this came to you, did the whole story come to you at that moment, or was it just
Yeah.
the drawings?
The whole thing. The drawings came a little later.
Mm.
The story came first. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
I, th- I think that's funny. Now I'm second guessing that, actually, Lindsay. That's kind of
Okay.
funny. I think the story. I think the story came first.
Well, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you, does it relate to your own life at all in terms of the narrative or the story itself? Or
I'm sure on some level, um, if I go deeper, I think probably this is a soul journey kind of story, meaning this is expressed over many lifetimes of mine. Uh, I'm sure in some of my lifetimes I've misused power. I'm sure I've learned many lessons around power, how to use it, how to embody it, what's proper, what's not. Uh, I can't pinpoint that in this lifetime, this is something that is, relating to this lifetime, but it feels more of like a soul journey, a higher perspective of many lifetimes where I've learned about power.
wow, yeah, and I think it's brilliant because you're really touching upon what humanity is going through and has gone through again and again, I think, from the
Right.
power lesson.
Oh,
Mhm.
I didn't even
Mhm.
think about it on that macro level. Thanks for bringing that in. Wow. Phew.
Yeah, that's why this book's
Yeah.
so special. You really do point out that, you
If
know.
we could get like the leaders at the UN to read this book, and
Yes.
like all the people in government who misuse their power, if we could get those people to have an understanding of this simple concept,
Hmm.
the world change if they would read this book.
Absolutely. And it
Um,
definitely is such a beautiful story. And one thing I have to ask you is, in the artwork itself, all
yeah,
the dragons are beautifully different, So I turn to one page and we have a water dragon. I
yeah,
turn to another page and we have a fire dragon, and all these things.
yeah.
Are they all Ella or representations of Ella, who is the main character dragon in your book, or are they different dragons?
It's all Ella. So at the beginning of the book, I mentioned that Ella is a shape-shifting dragon.
That's right.
And what that means is that, she can take on many different forms, colors. And so to make it more, it just came out that way, I think, but to make it more fun with different colors and different paintings, it made sense to have her be a shape-shifting dragon so that we could have all kinds of different illustrations.
Yeah. And you know what I love about the cover too, on that note, is that it almost looks 3D, like it's popping out at you. I think
Ooh.
you had glitter on here, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, and it pops right out. It looks like it's still on the cover. Like
Yeah.
it feels like I can touch it and it's gonna
It, and
pop out or
you
something.
can see it on the back too. You can see
Yes. Yeah, it
I'm
looks
a
like it's still there, like you can touch it.
yeah, I'm a glitter girl. I'm Sparkle Susie. So
Oh, I
I
love
have to have sparkles in all of the, if you would purchase one of the original paintings that I actually do have those for sale. You can touch the glitter. It's very
it.
much alive. It's very much three-dimensional on the painting.
Wow. Well, from each illustration that you did and the narrative next to it, or the story and the words, it all pops out and you just get this frequency from every page. So I found anyway that when you turn it, or when you turn the page and you're reading the story, this healing vibration almost comes at you, and it's like, oh shoot, like that's a really magical lesson. This is a really magical dragon. So
I'm glad you can feel that. That's really, really special. Thank you for highlighting that. There is a lot of intention that goes into my work. And so when sensitive people like myself can feel it, it makes me all warm and fuzzy inside.
yeah, you're definitely spreading like the good message. So
Thank you.
that's there. And then you also have these reflection questions at the end of the book. So if parents are reading this to their kids at the end of the day, like for bed, or maybe they can read these reflection questions, or we can use them for teaching, right?
Yeah.
So is there anything that you wanted to touch upon in terms of how the reflection questions help the readers at all?
Yeah, they're actually meant for both the child and the adult. Because I believe that there's, when we take time to just reflect on these simple little concepts, that we can extrapolate a lot more for our own lives. And so if we can especially teach children when they're younger to start thinking in certain ways and to start thinking for themselves and to think in deeper terms, I think that's a really powerful gift we can give our children. I wasn't necessarily taught to think for myself as a child. At least I don't remember that I was. But I think about the children today and where we're going on this planet. And we really want to give the gift to our children of having them develop skills of critical thinking and cognition. And instead of just programming, indoctrinating, here's some more dogma, here's some more things you should believe. We should be asking them, well, what do you think about this? How do you feel about this? What are your thoughts on it? What do you believe? Because children are very intelligent. And so these questions are meant to activate more of their intelligence and to not, what's the word I'm looking for? To not, it's eluding me, but to not placate them and just say, okay, well, you're a child, so you don't know anything. To really acknowledge their intelligence. Mm-hmm. And and there are certain ages that may respond to these questions better than others, but really, I think this day and age, you could ask a 2-year-old some of these questions and get some interesting answers. And they're also a gauge as the parent or the caregiver or the adult in the situation. They're a gauge to see where that child is at in their level of thinking. I've read this book to a 4-year-old and got some really brilliant answers back, and it's like, wow, this kid is smart, or you could ask these
I
questions.
think they're smarter than us. I think they know
In some
so
ways, yes. Yeah. We may have some wisdom of
right,
being on this planet for a
like
while.
how to function. Yeah.
Yeah, but like some street smarts maybe, but they come
Right.
with some deep, deep wisdom.
Oh yeah.
And if we can extrapolate that from them and honor them in their wisdom and normalize, hey, we can have deep conversations. Just because you're 5 doesn't mean we can't talk about big things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of the foundational piece with these questions, is to bring all of that out in our children.
Oh, Susie, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. It's already helped so many children, and I think it's going to help so many more. And I think you had already mentioned this before, but is there anything else or a main thing that you hope parents specifically will feel about or get out of this book? I think you already sort of touched upon that though. But if there's
I really do hope that they will also go inward and do some self-reflection. Because if you're 30 or if you're 60 or if you're 90, there's always more to learn about life, about yourself, about how you use your power. And I would love for the older people reading this book to also really reflect and say, okay, is there any way in which I could be using my power better?
I
Or
love
is there any way I've been misusing it that I would like to change and shift in my life?
that's so beautiful. Well, is there anything else that you would like the readers to know? A special message for the viewers? Anything like that?
I'll just say a few things. The dragons, that at least the ones that I know, really are wanting to connect with us and be guides for us and let us know that, they offer protection as well. And they really are here. They want to see heaven on earth. They want to see a new paradigm be birthed on earth. They're holding the space for that in higher dimensions, and then they're also here helping us with boots on the ground if we're willing to make that connection and receive their help. So if you want that help, you just have to ask for it, just call them in and ask for it. And then the other thing I'll say is that I should have brought some examples, dang it. You can buy some dragon swag. If you go to dragonspeak.com, 2 S's in the middle. If you go to dragonspeak.com, there's a little button on that website that you can click, and you can get a dragon blanket or a mug or a phone holder, or like you name it, a pillow. There's all kinds of things that you can get. So definitely, if you want to support the good work of this book and have something fun for yourself too. One of my clients bought a blanket, and it's just like this coolest thing, to wrap yourself up in a dragon, right? Like, how fun is that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, go get yourself some dragon swag at dragonspeak.com.
Oh, I love that so much. And of course, I would love a dragon blanket too. I think that would be so cool.
Who
And
doesn't want a dragon blanket?
oh yeah, especially if it embodies the lessons of this book that you're talking about. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and you can choose from any of the illustrations in the book when you go to buy a dragon product. Any of the illustrations in here, you can choose which one you like best to make your shower curtain or your blanket, or whatever it is.
oh, I love the fire dragons in there. How cool would that be to have the shower curtain? You go in there and it's like, wow,
Right? Liven up your bathroom, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, as an artist and creator for yourself, do you have any advice for other people who want to follow their dreams and create their own book or their own story?
Yeah, I think it's just, if you feel something deeper within you wanting to come out, if you feel a message wanting to be birthed through you, or you feel a calling to do something artistic, or to write a book, or whatever it is, to just go for it. Don't hold yourself back because you don't think you're an author, or you don't think you're an artist. I didn't know that I was an artist, but it was something that I felt within my being, that was a deeper calling to just go do it. And so I just did it. And I can look at some of these pictures in here and I can say, well, I could have done that better, or that's not that great, or whatever. But I can't let myself be a perfectionist. Sometimes we just have to go for things in life that we feel called to, or that we want to do. And so just go for it. Don't hold yourself back. I think
I
that was
love
the
that.
biggest thing. Yeah.
I love that so much. Well, here you go, guys. This is it. The Dragon Who Swallowed the Sun by Susie Beiler. And thank you so much, Susie, for being here with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So
Get
this is The Dragon Who Swallowed the Sun. And you can go to dragonspeak.com. So 2 S's in the middle. You can get some dragon swag as well as the book here. And you can also, for those who prefer Amazon, get the book off of Amazon or ordered in through your local bookstore or Barnes and Noble. So many different ways to get the book. There's also the ebook version. This is the hardcover that we have, but we also have a paperback, a soft cover version as well. So is there anything else that you want to add, Susie?
Yeah, if you actually own a bookstore, I know that's rare these days, but if you actually own a bookstore, there is also a link on that website you can use to order books in bulk as a, if you want to resell them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much again. And we'll have you again on another interview sometime soon, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Okay.